I really realised over that period of time when I was dealing with really emotional stories, a lot of those things really get to you, and I had to speak to the director about it.
1, 2, 3, action.
Might be too tall now.
Oh, sorry. I'm Melissa. I'm from Germany-ish. Yeah, I grew up in Germany. I'll say that.
You have an interesting accent for someone that is from
Germany.
because you sound like you are from the UK, really.
That's very kind of you. I appreciate that a lot. I've moved around a little bit since I've turned 18 and now I'm here in London, mainly because of work.
Where did you move before you moved to London?
I moved to Brighton when I was 18 for uni and I studied there for 3 years. I really, really love Brighton still, but I guess thought I had to move somewhere else for my masters. And also, I guess COVID was in between, so there was like a year of, what do I do? I moved back to Germany for a couple of months during 2020. I think that's right. Anyway, but then I applied for a couple of masters and went to Cardiff University and then got a job there. Actually, no, I moved back to Brighton for a job and then moved back to Cardiff and then moved to London. So it's been...
A few cities you've been to. Where are you from in Germany?
I'm from Bremen. It's one of the northern cities in Germany. In German, we actually say Bremen.
Bremen.
We like swallow the end because that's like the dialect where I'm from.
When did you lose the German accent, or did you always have this accent?
I've always had this accent. My dad refused to speak German to me when I was younger, so he's from Kent.
I see.
And he was just like, you have to speak English. So I'd hear him speak German to other people, and then he'd speak to me in English, and I'd answer like half in German, like do like a verbal mix-up of languages, and he would be like, I don't understand. What did you say? Say it in English. Or I wouldn't understand. And so I had to speak English to him, which was kind of confusing as like a 3-year-old to understand or like not understand, I guess. Because,
Yeah.
like, I know you can. I've seen you speak German and then I have to like not do that.
I know a lot of people who didn't want to speak the language, their mother tongue, and then they lost the language. How do you feel about the fact that you're actually bilingual now?
So great. I definitely had a phase of being like, I don't want to speak this language.
It's not
I
cool.
remember it.
It's not
and
like the
then-
other school kids.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
else is doing this. Why do I have to do this?
Yeah.
I remember this. My mum remembers this.
Yeah.
My dad refuses to remember this. He says, no, you always loved it. It's not true. Sorry. My cousins live in England, so connecting with them, I was like, oh my God, they're speaking this language. And now suddenly I know one more person other than my dad who actually speaks this. And it's not just like a completely useless task that I have to do.
Yeah, it does really open a door, I reckon, if you have a family who is in a different country, who speak a different language, and then you grow up not being able to communicate with them. So thanks, Melissa's dad.
In hindsight, obviously, very
Yeah.
much, it's enabled me to do so much and study in a different country and work in a different country and speak to so many more people than I would have ever been able to if I didn't have that.
So how long have you been in the UK for?
8 years.
8
now.
years. Because how long have you been here?
2023 is...
Oh, okay, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, a bit less than 2 years, I'd say. Oh God, it's February already.
Which city do you prefer? So you said you loved Brighton.
I do love Brighton. There's like a lot of very good things about London, obviously, that I love so much.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Do tell.
Totally. I love that I can just go around the corner to the theatre or go to like see any film at any point in time. I don't have to be like, oh my God, it's only on Wednesdays in my cinema. I can go there right now after work and watch the movie that I want to watch.
Was that what it was like where you grew up?
Bremen is quite a big city.
Okay.
Like German cities tend to be quite big. I can't really explain it, but like in a different way than English cities. Brighton is like quite a big city, but it feels more villagey.
Yes,
Do you know
I mean,
what
I
I
feel
mean?
that about London. For example, my friend drove from Stoke Newington to Oxford Circus yesterday and it took him half an hour. For some reason, to me, that just feels like, how can you go from east to central in such a short amount of time? London is so huge, however, you can really get around. That's the thing.
That is true.
I do really love London. That's why I was looking at you like that. I was like, what is she going to say that she loves about London?
So many things.
What's she going to say?
No.
So the convenience.
Right, yeah. Oh, this is a big one for me, is the food. I lived in Cardiff and I'm veggie. And Cardiff people, I don't want to generalise, but there's a lot of meat restaurants. There's a lot of like steak.
And Cardiff is the city, isn't it? So you'd think
Yeah.
it would have more options than...
Right. Oh, I don't want to slander Cardiff this much, but I didn't find a single Thai restaurant that I really liked, or Indian restaurant that I really liked, where I was like, this is my go-to place. Like,
Oh, that's interesting.
I love Thai food. I love Indian food. I honestly, genuinely, I know this sounds so first world problems, but for me it was like, I need to find a place where I can eat Thai food once a month. It makes me so happy.
I mean, you could have, I mean, it's a bit late now because you're in London, so you've already gotten to the place that has all of the Thai and the Indian restaurants. But did you ever go to Bristol to find that? Because isn't it quite near? It's a bit about, is it an hour?
Suggestion.
Oh, yes. You should have known me back then. I would have told you.
Technically in London I do have to go into Central, and then that's the thing. But like you said, it's so short.
There's actually a really good Thai place in Crouch End
Oh my god.
that is called Pakata. It's actually really, really good.
I need to write this down. I've put it as a note. I'll remember.
You work for the BBC.
I do, yay.
That's cool. Did you do your Masters in Journalism?
I did my bachelor's in broadcast journalism, and then I did a master's in digital documentaries.
Oh, wow.
Although I don't know, the digital didn't really play a very big role. It just like in the title to sound fancy or something, I don't know. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
fair enough.
Yeah, I did study that, and I got a job immediately after doing that master's. So I technically work for BBC Studios, and I'm a freelancer in TV, so it's not like I'm a staff member or whatever.
They say the freelancer jobs are easier to come by in journalism, I've heard around, because I also work in those areas, kind of. So I know a lot of freelancers, people who choose to go freelance as well. And I don't know if it's just because of like the UK journalistic climate, or it's just a general thing where people like to have more say in what they do and more hours, rather than having a fixed job that pays a certain thing.
Honestly, it's definitely also the industry at the moment. They don't want to have staff members. I guess it's part of not wanting to commit. Because you have a programme for like 3 months and you don't know if that programme is going to continue after that, or if it might just be like, that's it, we're doing only the one season and it's over. And I get that. Like, you don't want to have staff there that are just sitting around being like, well, now I don't have anything to do and I'm just here. And, you know? So it makes sense. But also I do actually quite like the...
Stability?
Like, it feels like, no, the opposite.
Oh, the opposite.
It feels like freedom. Like, it feels like after the 3 months, I know that I'm going to move on to something else. There's a lot of pros and cons. I definitely like the idea that I can just do different things and try different things.
Because the news sector is changing constantly, because different audiences and consumers have different ways and needs of wanting to view the news, and therefore having that ability to change very quickly is quite useful, and like wanting to do it is quite good.
Are you staff?
I am staff, but I'm also not a journalist.
Do you prefer being staff though, or do you like the idea of the stability, or do you...
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd be a lot more stressed out if I didn't know what I was going to be doing in 3 months. But that's just me. I do like a routine. But
But to be good for you.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But I think having a bit of what we both have, having the ability to like want to change, as well as keeping a routine within that somehow, I don't know, would be good. The journalism industry is quite a stressful environment. How do you cope with a stressful environment? Do you have any coping mechanisms for those?
3-year-old in me is just like, I'm gonna call my mum. I like calling my parents. It's nice. Definitely as like a general, like talking to someone, I feel like I just speak about stuff, and I think that probably is a very healthy thing. But also I think I overthink things so much, and I've really come to realise that in like the past 5 years or so, that I'm like, if I just say it out loud, it's often not as bad as I'm thinking it is.
Yeah, I can understand that, in that if I say something, it's kind of like I'm using that outlet.
Right.
And as soon as it becomes real, it becomes less of an issue. I feel like when it's in your head, you get more stressed and you
put
do
that
overthink. And
so much better.
I do that all the time as well. I don't know if it's like a product of our environment, the fact that we're just flooded with social media and different ideas and different things and different information, that we then think about too much and overthink that. I don't know if that's got something to do with it, but I'd like to think so, because it's a good theory.
I think that's my work stress solution. Like, I worked on a lot of charity appeals, and I really realised over that period of time, when I was dealing with really emotional stories and really sad stories, and a lot of those things really get to you. And I had to speak to the director about it. I had to be like, look, I know we're not even going to use this family. It's not going to happen because XYZ, they're in the wrong location, whatever. But I need to tell you about what they told me about their like traumatic cancer journey.
My manager is very good. He said, whenever you feel that pit in your stomach, run up to the newsroom and just talk to me about it. Because as soon as you talk about it, problems are just a little bit less.
Also, I mean, this is obvious, but you get the other viewpoint, which might be less dramatic, or they might just be like, well, there's a really simple solution. Why haven't you thought about this? And then I feel really stupid. But yeah, definitely traumatic stories from contributors is a big stress, or was a big stress for me in the last couple of years, for sure. But more in terms of like a
London stress.
Do you feel like when you're in venues, sometimes it just gets too much? Maybe this is like a me thing, but I just find there's like a couple pubs where you'll go in and then there'll be like a pub and you chat and then the music gets louder and louder and eventually they become a club. But in that in-between period where you're kind of still meant to talk, but the music is so loud that you're like, I can't really hear you. I find that really stressful.
I don't find it stressful. I do find it, depending on whether you're there to talk to your friends or whatever, then I'd be kind of, not irritated, but I'd kind of be like, we're just going to have to not talk and dance. Like, that kind of thing doesn't stress me out. I actually really enjoy being in a sea full of people. For some reason, I just thought of like Waxy O'Connor's in Leicester Square, which is like a massive Irish pub, which is always rammed with people. And for some reason, that kind of thing where everybody's all together, and I really enjoy it.
You seem like the person. I have a really quiet voice. I don't know if you can tell this right now. I don't know if I'm speaking quiet. I can never tell.
I don't know. I don't know how to be quiet.
I have a really quiet voice and people tell me this so much. And then I think when I'm in that environment where I'm like, I don't know if they can hear me, even more so than usually.
I try to enunciate, especially when I'm talking about words. I think I do it more. So you lived in Brighton, Cardiff, and London. Have you explored anywhere else in the UK?
I've been to so many cities in this country because of my job.
I was going to say for business or pleasure.
I can give you bottom 3 and top 3 if you want.
Okay.
This is mostly based on food choices, I'll be honest, because that's just how it goes.
It does govern the way people think, so.
And also, when we go for work, we obviously film a lot in like people's houses or inside a venue, so I won't actually see the city. But then in the evening, we're like, oh my god, what are we gonna have for a meal? And then that's the only thing I actually see of cities. So I feel like this is why it's all food based. A no from me was Doncaster. I'm sorry.
Is that somewhere north? Yeah.
We didn't find anywhere good. We ended up being in like kind of a takeaway. It was fine. I wasn't that impressed. That's all. My colleague really hyped it up. He was like, we should go, because we weren't even in Doncaster for filming. We were like Newcastle, and then we went like halfway down.
You left Newcastle?
I know, right? Disappointment. It wasn't that great.
So that's your worst third?
The bottom 3 are just like...
all bottom of the barrel, okay.
The other 2 are Swansea and Port Talbot.
Swansea, so like another city in Wales.
Port Talbot is quite close to Swansea.
Port Talbot. Never heard of it.
Oh, there we go. It wasn't that impressive. I just, again, like lots of meat. I think this is really like a general thing for me. I feel like I'm going to get judged for this a lot. Anyway, my top 3. Oh my god, there's so many places I love. There is a lot of places I love.
Good.
I've been to Cornwall a lot on holidays when I was younger, so I have like so many good memories.
Is that a city? I suppose.
No, it's not.
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
But then I like wouldn't be able to pick. There's loads of places in Cornwall that I'm like, yes, great places.
Okay.
Basic of me, love St Ives.
What
Again,
is that
Cornwall.
also in Cornwall?
Yeah, Penzance. Like any of those places are lovely.
I've not been to any of these places. Well, I've been to Cornwall when I was like 8, but wow, it's good that you've told me, because I'm thinking of where to go for Easter.
It's family memories. Like my parents love going to Cornwall.
They're quite far down though, aren't they?
Yes, this is very far.
What about that?
I had really lovely overnight in Plymouth when I filmed there recently. It was gorgeous.
Oh, that's further up.
Yeah, that's like top end of Cornwall.
Ooh, okay.
That was really lovely.
And this is also in terms of food, or?
Yes.
Okay, this is all food.
100%,
okay.
yeah. I mean, no. Also, it's just lovely. Like,
food and
nice
views.
beaches.
Okay. Pebble
nice
beaches or?
countryside. No. Although, I will say, I actually don't mind Brighton. Brighton is like my favourite city in the UK, sorry, I should have said that. It's the vibes, it's the people I know, it's the music scene, definitely also the food.
It's like got everything London has, except it's also got a beach.
And it's like chill, and you
chill.
meet the same people again. I think that's why, like, you go to a pub and you will actually meet people again that you've seen if you go there regularly or something.
I reckon you can do that in London, but I think only in certain areas.
Yeah.
So I used to work in a pub near where I lived. It was like a local pub, and therefore like everybody would go there every week. And I think there are some areas of London that are quite pocketed and villagey and stuff, like Brighton in some ways. But I do get that Brighton's a bit more, it kind of reminds me of Bristol in that sense. It's just a bit smaller, it's a bit more kind of like happy-go-lucky.
It feels very similar vibes, for sure,
Yes.
from what I've heard and what I've seen. I do really like Rye, for example. The coast, or like southern coast of Kent, is beautiful, and the like apple orchards.
Have you been to Margate, Old Town?
Oh, yes.
Because I've not been, and I might go. And
Oh.
what do you think?
I went with my colleagues from work.
Okay.
We did like a little weekend trip. We made it out of the group chat. It was so cute.
wow.
I really liked it. For me, obviously nothing tops Brighton. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to stop talking about Brighton. It's so annoying. It was like similar vibes, and it had like the cute little places. And I don't know if this is true, but the reputation for Margate was that it wasn't such like a nice place to go in like whatever the 80s or whatever.
I wouldn't be surprised if like a lot of those areas have become better because people have moved out of the city and things just get a bit more polished.
I told my dad that I was going to Margate basically. He was like, oh my god, why are you doing that? And it was lovely. It was so good. And I told him that. And now, ever since, he's been looking out and he's been like, oh my god, I just saw an article that Margate is the up and coming place. And it was lovely.
I read in Time Out one year that Margate Old Town was one of the coolest neighbourhoods in the world. So,
Wow.
yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Whoa. It's also, I imagine, a lot less expensive than London. But then I guess you were only there for a weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't
I
really
don't know
tell.
if I can be the judge on that.
Yeah, all right. In terms of moving to London from Brighton or Cardiff, did you feel a difference in spending and stuff?
Brighton is actually quite similar to London, I think.
Oh, really?
Or what I've heard from friends who live in Brighton. I feel like they're kind of similar to what I'm paying.
Right.
Out here in Zone 3. Cardiff was a lot cheaper, definitely less expenses in terms of like rent.
Because London is pretty difficult in terms of like expenditures. How much would you say like on a typical work day you'd spend?
That's an interesting question. I mean, there's like I was going to say dollars then, I don't know why. £10 definite for travel, right?
Yep.
TFL, it's going out your pocket before you even spend it. It's okay.
Tube tears.
I'm terrible at bringing lunch in, so that's always an expense for me.
Yeah.
Very sad. My dad obviously is where I learnt my English from, and he used quite a lot of words that would have been probably modern at the time. He basically speaks like, I think, quite like a old English. And
interesting.
things like swimming baths. I was walking with a friend through Brighton and I was like, oh my god, look, it's the swimming baths. We should go.
The swimming baths. Like swimming pools?
It took him like 5 minutes to understand what I was saying because it's quite an olden term.
It sounds like you meant public baths.
It was like a swimming pool and meadow instead of field.
We're going to go eat in the meadow. That's so
Have a
cute.
picnic in the meadow.
I want to eat in the meadow.
Some of those things just stuck. I definitely would use meadow, and I'd also use swing bars.
My dad pronounced, like, you know, pita bread. He pronounced it Peter bread, so I thought it was Peter, Peter bread, like Peter Pan bread, for a long time. I used to spell it like that. So your parents, who you believe are the bearers of everything and know everything, teach you, and then you're like, oh, they're wrong. They're not all-knowing, and they're mortals.
My dad would like make fun of a lot of things that I kind of accidentally made wrong, but then would make it a word forever, and I just assume that's a word in English. For example, rolls in German is Brötchen, and
Brötchen.
he would just call them Brettchen, like an English accent version of that. And I was just like, that's the word for that. And I said it here, and people would be like, what?
Like bread rolls.
Yeah.
Oh. A tuna Brettchen.
I've been lied to. It's just things that don't come up in like everyday conversations, but then I like speak English quite like in an English way and will come up with something like that and people will just go like, what?
I've got a friend whose mum is Greek, and she would say things like, oh, it's in Arabic. And I'd be like, what? You don't mean Arabic? And she's like, yeah, but my mum says it like Arabic.
There's a couple of words that he has just taken from German, will say in the English accent, and I've just forever believed that is what they're called.
Bloody parents. What are they like? Do they often visit you, or do you go there? Do they come here? Is it like a sort of two-way street?
Yes, all of that. I go there. I like going back more so now. It's like a nice, I don't know, going home is nice. I really like it. I really like German bread.
What is it about German bread? Do I have to go to Germany to eat the bread?
What you have here is not bread. Forget everything you've known about bread ever. It's not. It's
I agree
not
with
bread.
you there. I lived in Paris for a bit, so I know
That's the
bread.
thing.
I know bread.
Exactly. Everything
bread.
that's here is just not bread. I'm sorry, I can't eat it.
Is that what you miss the most about Germany? If you do miss anything, it's the bread. Fair. I mean, I'm not surprised that it's a food thing.
Yeah, wow.
It's a food
I
thing.
can't believe I've talked so much about food.
Food is so relatable. Everyone eats food, so we hope. We think.
I do hope.
Thank you for joining me on this couch experience. Yay! This has been Sam and
Melissa.
who?
Loves German bread.
Ooh, just German bread or all food?
Mostly German bread. If I could just eat that, I would.
That's right, London. Invest in German bread. We've come to the end of this. If you liked either me or Melissa, give us a like. If you liked just me, give us a like. If you liked just Melissa, give us a like.
I like that.
Thank you for watching and see you next time. And goodbye. And I love you. Okay? Bye. I kind of say something like awkward and British, like, if you like me, kind of, I don't know, like, you know?
I like it.